All righty. Thank you for coming, braving the weather. Thought we were going to have to cancel it. But I'm here to introduce our coordinators first and foremost. Starting off offensively, we got Rich Scangarello. Rich is a guy that I've known about for the last couple of years. Gotten to know him last year at the Combine a little bit. Been following his career. We got together last year in San Francisco when I was out there in the summer visiting, played around the golf. I beat him. That's supposed to be loud. But I really like Rich's, the career he's had. He's been a coordinator at the college level, various levels for 8 years. Made sacrifices to come into the NFL early on in his career. Went back to college to, put some of those things he learned into effect into an offense that he had already envisioned, and wanted to go back and practice a year of calling it again. And then Kyle, once he got the San Francisco job, he was one of his first hires to coach the quarterback. So we're very happy to have him here, and I'm very confident it's going to be a good offensive staff overall with him leading it. Ed Donatel has been with me the past 8 years, both in San Francisco and in Chicago. He's been a big part of the success that we've had defensively at both stops. He's been the secondary coach at both spots, spearheading our pass defense. Prior defensive coordinator in the NFL at 2 places. And he's seen our defense evolve. He's been there from day one. The defense has evolved over the last 8 years, just as the offenses has evolved over the last 8 years. And he'll be a valuable piece for us on defense to get these guys ready to play, and very happy to have him here. Tom McMahon was here last year, his first year in Denver. I got high recommendations on him, both from the people in-house here and in my research. Luckily, I have a lot of good friends in the special teams world, and all of them, to a man, were very positive on Tom. And so we decided to keep Tom here and keep the good thing he established last year going. And we're very happy to have him and Chris to lead our special teams. I'm going to turn it over now to Rich. You guys can have him up here for a few minutes, and then we'll bring it on to Ed after that.
If you have a question, guys, raise your hand. We'll find you with a mic. How you doing? Yeah.
Yeah, Rich, can you just talk about how you and Vic Fangio got together for this opportunity?
Yeah, I knew that to be in the NFL, you had to grow your circle and your network, and I kind of sought out some guys that I thought were very talented coaches, great teachers, that people I'd been around had high regard for. And I made an effort to try and meet Vic. He was gracious enough to sit down with me in Indianapolis and just kind of hit it off, just connected, and I really appreciated his time and the things he said, and just felt a connection in that way that he sees the game a lot like I do, and that's how we really started our relationship from the beginning, and that was a little over a year ago. Yes.
Congratulations, Coach.
Thank you.
The Broncos offense has struggled the last 3 years, and so fans want to know kind of the question philosophically, what place you're coming from, and why will this team finally kind of be able to get back on track offensively?
Philosophically, my roots have always been in the zone run system that Kyle Shanahan has run. I started with that with my first mentor, my first head coach I worked with, Tom Cable, and it evolved over years. I see an offense that's willing to take shots, that's aggressive but is detailed in every way, that takes care of the football, that empowers its players to be the best they can be by putting them in a position to be successful. I think our offense empowers the quarterback to have success, and it can adapt to his skill set. And so as we build this as a group, as a staff, looking forward to doing that, and I think we can make that happen.
In your opinion, what do you think are the biggest deficiencies in this Broncos offense right now? And kind of a two-part, what's your plan of attack for fixing those holes?
We're going through that process right now as we're evaluating personnel, and we're getting into that. Those are discussions that'll be ongoing here in the next couple of weeks as we go through free agency and the draft. But I am excited about the pieces we do have. I thought they did an outstanding job in the draft last year. They played a lot of young players very early in their career, and you could see them evolve over the season. And I'm excited about working with those guys. And I see until you're out there on the field with them, you don't know exactly their complete skill set and the traits you can use to best help us be successful. But there's no doubt I love the core group, and I'm excited to work with them.
Kind of a two-parter here, but
Yeah.
from what have you seen from Case Keenum, and do you think he'd be a good fit for your system? The second part is kind of what is your general philosophy in developing young quarterbacks?
Well, the first part, as far as Case goes, I'm excited to work with Case. We were not in the market for a quarterback in San Francisco last year, but he was a free agent, and I did my due diligence on him, and he really played outstanding in Minnesota, and he was a big part of helping them get to where they got to that NFC Championship game. And he's gritty, he's a winner, he's competitive, and you can see that on the film. I think in our system, and I think you could see that based with Kyle's history, and that's what I believe as well, and in San Francisco where I was directly coaching those guys, each guy's a little unique, and you have to adapt to them. And I see traits that we can help Case be the best he can be, and that's our job as an offense, the players around him, and really to empower him to really play confident like he was in Minnesota and continue to keep that going, and no doubt help him be the best he can be.
Hey, Rich, earlier this month, John Elway said that he would like this offense to modernize and add some innovation. When you hear that, what does that mean to you? Is that about adaptability or what?
Well, I think the game is always evolving, and I think that some of that can touch on a lot of things. I think there's a perception, too, that college football has evolved in a completely different direction than the NFL, and that's trickling into our game. So there's those fresh ideas, which you're starting to see with the RPOs and different things that people are doing, and that can help the quarterback. But I just think that I would say that Kyle, and I respect Kyle Shanahan as much as anyone I've been around as a coach. His mind is brilliant, and I've learned so much from him. But the reality of it is I feel like he's always evolving every year, and he has evolved with his players, the division he's in, what he's facing, the quarterback he has, and we'll take that same approach. And I think that when we went through this process, I think that resonated with everyone, and we're on the same page in that way. Yes.
Two parts. Number one, is Vic any good as a golfer? And number two, do you see your quarterback as under center in the gun? Does that make any difference to how you run your system?
Well, the first question is the most important one, and Vic is a very good golfer, just so you guys know. Unless you get him on the tips. That's where I have an edge, but no. But as far as, I'm sorry, your second question as far as the offense, and one more time.
Under center, shotgun, does it make a difference to, my Shanahan ideas sees the quarterback under center primarily?
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I think the offense it requires both, no question. What we do in our play pass, our keeper game, how we tie things together, what we do, the first and second down offense, that's generated under center predominantly. And then, again, you have to adapt to the type of quarterback you have, and sometimes that puts you in the shotgun more. I know with Jimmy, he was early in his career. I mean, he wasn't under center a lot, and so early on we felt it was easier to maybe put him in the gun, and that's our job to put players in the situation to do what they can do best, but I'd hope that it would be balanced.
Coach, how much do you want to or need to be involved in the personnel evaluation of the quarterback into free agency and the draft?
I think that's the organization always makes those decisions, and that's stuff we'll all get into. I just know that one of the things I was most impressed with when I came in on the interview was just the unity in the building, the vision, and it really excited me to be a part of it. And I have no doubt that we'll develop the guys that are here to be great players and the best we can get them to be, and whatever else transpires from there with new players and all that, we'll do the same. And how we go through that process, I'm sure we'll work through that, but I'm excited to work with John Elway and Vic and the personnel department in any way necessary.
Coach, you called plays at the college level, I think 8 years. How is it different, and what is the challenge of doing it for the first time at the professional level? And have you made any grounds or headway as you look for a quarterback's coach?
As far as the play calling goes, I mean, it's, you know, there's a lot of different ways to do it. Each guy has their own style. I mean, Kyle barely looks at his game plan. He calls it off his head. Other guys read off their plan. You know, there's a lot of that is how you plan during the week and you prepare for game day, your organizational skills, and having everyone on the same page. And a lot of it's planned, and then there's the improvised situations where you have to be, you know, have the instincts for it. I feel fairly confident in that. I've had success as a play caller in college. In a lot of ways in college, it's you don't have the communication with the quarterback you have, and we were huddling, so it was different. But yeah, I think you learn from each play caller you're around, and I've been around some very good ones, and you take from them what you can, and you put it in play, and I'm sure it won't be perfect, but I'm ready for the challenge. And, you know, feel confident that that'll won't be an issue. So. And as far as the quarterback coach goes, we're in the process of doing that. There's no hurry. I think we have a great list of candidates, and we're excited to get the right guy in here.
In Coach Fangio's opening presser, he spoke about balance on offense. It's more than just how much you run, how much you pass. What does balance on offense mean to you?
Exactly that. I mean, kind of what we're talking about with evolving as an offense, staying ahead in this league. I think you've seen it with the misdirection. A big thing that's in vogue is the fly sweep and the actions that come off of it, creating different ways to attack a defense. And with that can come innovative ways to run the ball as well. And that doesn't always mean running outside zone. It can mean running different types of schemes. I think it's the same in the pass game and the variety of protections you have to handle what you're going to see in and out with the D coordinators in this league. So, you know, excited to take on that challenge, but that to me is how you stay ahead and you're innovative and balanced by keeping people off balance and doing a good job of hiding your tendencies.
Coach, how do you expect coaches like Mike Munchak, Zach Azzani, Curtis Modkins to help you implement your plan of what you're trying to do on offense?
So far, I couldn't be more excited to work with a group of coaches. Their temperaments, their detail. I can tell it's going to be a great staff. I think Coach Fangio has a vision for what he sees in coaches, and I think a big part of that is you have to be a great teacher. You have to be detailed, and you know, very fortunate to be able to work with Mike Munchak. The conversations we've had so far, I mean, he's one of the best line coaches in the league. He's got a wealth of knowledge, and it's exciting to be able to team up with that and help the Denver Bronco offense be what it can be, you know.
Okay, thank you very much, Rich. We'll have defensive coordinator Ed Donato.
Good afternoon. How you guys doing?
We're up with Troy.
Coach, congratulations. Having spent the last 8 years with Coach Fangio, how will it be different with him now? How will that arrangement work? Will you be the eyes in the sky, voice in his head, and Vic's now on the sideline? And having coached in Denver, do you have a kind of a better understanding of the expectations around here?
Yeah, I do understand the expectations. It's a great storied franchise. It's great to be back here again. Mr. Bolin, what he said when I was here before is just a wonderful place to be. And John Elway was here as a player when I was here. And I couldn't feel better about being back here. With Vic, it is yet to be determined exactly who will be up and down. I know he'll be down, but wherever he chooses to put me, whatever combination that is. But we came together in San Francisco, and we saw immediately that we saw football kind of the same. And my experience came from the back end, and his is more from the front. And I just knew this was a relationship that I kind of wanted to be part of for a long time. And as he talked before, our defense has evolved, and we've done it together. It's been a really good partnership. So we're excited about where it goes from this point on.
Yeah, Ed, your third time here. How is the place different from the previous two?
No, I think just the same. You can feel the tradition. You can feel the expectation. This is just a wonderful franchise. It's one of the top franchises in the league, and it's an honor to be able to come back here for the third time and be wanted. So I'm just looking forward to it.
Your specialty of the defensive backs. What do you think is needed back there in the secondary? We got Chris Harris back, but you know, what is your philosophy going into kind of helping that secondary?
Yeah, well, I think it starts with our defensive philosophy and it starts with fundamentals. And we like the players that are here, and we'll evaluate and see what needs to be added in. But Vic's going to start with fundamentals, details. He wants people to be accountable. One of the things he prides our teams in is being penalty-free. You know, we want to be one of the lowest penalized teams because that can help us win. So, again, it's early in the process with the defensive backs. Our big thing is minimize explosion, you know, because explosive plays turn into points, and we want to minimize that.
Coach, 2 parts here. First one, what did you see from Vic over your time working with him that suggested he was ready to be a head coach to you? And then second, working with Bradley Chubb and Von Miller, what do you think you can do with those two off the edge?
Yeah, well, a lot of people like to be working with both those guys. But back to Vic, this is a long-time thing that he's deserved for a long time. He has a great ability to frame problems and his ability to adjust. And that's where he separates from the competition. There's going to be all kinds of new problems come down the road, and he can frame it, and he can get our staff and our players directed on fixing them.
Coach, what does death by inches mean to you, and can you give any specific examples?
Not really a specific example, but he's just talking about the little things, and they add up. And he doesn't want them turning into big things. You know, if he wants you touching a line in a drill, he wants that. If he wants your alignment in a certain place, he wants your eyes to be where they're supposed to be, and he wants people to be responsible to the team.
Knowing that Vic will be doing the defensive play calling, how much did that factor into your decision of taking this job?
Not at all. It's just a relationship. I felt we could have success together, and we're going to grow some more together. But it's really how I can serve him in this new role. You know, and we'll adjust from there. But really, it's business as usual for us. You know, he takes the lead with this thing, and we're working together.
What do you think led to so many takeaways with your defense and Vic's defense last year? And can fans expect maybe a little more zone in the way the secondary is used? Because it's been so much press heavy here the last 3-4 years.
Well, you know, the first thing is we always want to affect the quarterback. And that doesn't mean blitzing. It means a combination of rush and coverage. And that's what we've been able to do together, and it's a great task to keep that going. But we will stress the takeaways. We will be successful in that area. It's an area we'll have a major commitment to. So we want to make that happen some more here.
Von Miller's been in this league a long time, had a lot of success.
Pardon?
Von Miller's been in this league for a long time.
Yeah.
He's had a lot of success.
Yeah.
Can you open his mind up to different ways of approaching the game to be even more effective? Or how can you make a player that's been in the league this long and this successful even better?
Yeah. Well, absolutely. Everybody can improve, and that's our motto, no matter what level you're at. We have a great outside linebacker coach in Brandon Staley, but that's Vic's specialty too. You know, that's where he cut his teeth, and it's kind of his baby. So there'll be plenty of room for improvement in that area.
Anything else? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Special Teams Coordinator Tom McMahon.
Tom, when Vic approached you about retaining you, what was that conversation like, and are you excited to be back with a new staff?
Yeah, I'm excited to be here, and I wanted to stay. You know, I feel blessed to have the opportunity to work with Coach Fangio. He has every single, you know, offense, defense, and special teams, in my opinion. He has it down, and I can't wait to work with him.
Yeah, Tom, you saw in the last round there was a lot of clutch kicks, clutch field goals. Maybe Vic and Ed should hide their ears. But, I mean, is there a way to work on, you work on kickers, is there a way to work on making the field goal under pressure. And do you have that in Brandon McManus?
I think Brandon McManus does have that, you know, and there is ways to work it within practice. You know, we have to do a great job of getting them in situations in the game, you know. But to answer your question, deep down inside, I think Brandon can make those kicks, and I think he will, and he'll improve.
Coach, it must have been an interesting time for you as there was such a large amount of turnover. What was that like for you personally? And what do you see initially as a difference with this staff compared to what existed before?
To answer your first question, you know, the off season is every single year, regardless of if you've had success or no success. You're always going to feel that pressure, you know, is when there's change. I can't give you an answer as to this difference in staff, you know, this, that, the other. I know this within the organization. I can't wait to work with Vic, with Ed, with Rich, you know, and been lucky to be able to keep Chris here on staff. But that's going to take a year, you know, to get through that and to give you that proper answer.
Coach, you've said a lot over the past year that you don't like to reflect back too much and focus on the moment, but how would you assess how you did as a special teams coordinator in year one with the Broncos, and where do you think you can improve?
I think we need to improve in everything, to be upfront with you. You know, there's every single area we have to improve on. I think the players would agree. Whether you've had success or you struggled in a certain area, the next day is the most important day. You know, what happened yesterday is going to hit you in the grave. But we have a long ways to go. Got a great organization here. You know, the culture is the best thing about this building is we're expected to win. I've been in buildings where you hope to win, and I can't wait to get started with Vic and the rest of the staff.
Coach, is it, I mean, we've only known Vic for a little bit, but is there a no-nonsense approach to him? What is it like being around Coach Fangio? You know, the number one thing, trait that I've noticed in being with him for this last week is he has a football presence. You know, you feel people that are very knowledgeable, you know, in their craft. You know, it's not everybody can speak, but when you can feel it, then you know you got something special, and you can feel his football presence.
I'm just curious, will you lobby for a returner when it's time to do those personnel things?
You know, I think we'll make those decisions, you know, from a personnel standpoint at all positions where we all need to improve. You know, as an organization, we'll get down and do that, to answer your question. But there's every single position right now we need to improve on.
What did you come away with from the return game when you've looked at it?
The return game, we need to be much better. You know, we preach half-court offense within our special teams identity. You know, you have to have an identity. If you have no identity, you have nothing in life. And then we preach full-court defense, you know, to give them an opportunity to force the other team to drive the whole field, and we did not help our offense a year ago. You know, and the number one thing is his drive-start average. And if you look at it and you take kick return and punt return, mine is 21-yard line. If you average the two, you got no chance. You know, you're throwing water balloons on a battleship. So we need to really help them in that situation from an offensive standpoint in our return game. And that's everybody involved. You know, it starts here.
Yeah, Tom, some head coaches, you know, don't really pay attention to special teams all that much. Coach Fangio in his opening remarks thanked Joe Marciano, a longtime special teams. Did that make you think like you got a head coach that, you know, is going to care about your units?
Yeah, you know, in speaking with guys that have worked with Vic, he has great knowledge of special teams, but the other thing that he has that everyone has told me, he has a great knowledge of the situational football that involves special teams, because we're involved in every single one of those situations, and I can't wait to work with him and to learn. You know, I've already learned, you know, a bunch.
Coach, the news got announced after the season, but what was it like for you to see Casey Crater go to the Pro Bowl, get some recognition that doesn't normally get?
You know, I think it's just two words: earned and deserved. Simple as that.
Why? You say why?
He put in a ton of work, and you know, there's a lot of things I asked him to change, and some people look at when you ask them to change, they take it personal. You know, I'm one of those guys that believes life is simple. correct in season, and we'll be judged postseason at the end of our lives. And Casey was willing to. He has no ego. You know, every single thing I asked him to improve on, he worked at it. He worked on it before practice, after practice, and then during the week, whatever we needed for him to change in order to block a certain player, he did that. You know, he stepped out of his identity and took on our team identity, our special teams identity, and that's why I believe that.
Thank you very much, Tom.
Thank you.